Welcome back to Gracefully Booked, a Christian romance podcast where we discuss Christian fiction of all kinds, but we sure are suckers for those mushy-gushy happy endings. And may we never forget the greatest love story of all, and that is the love that Jesus had for us when he died on the cross to pay the debt that we could never hope to cover on our own. I am your host, Tanya Wood, and I'm so thankful you're here today. Let's start off with a small prayer, and then we're going to dive into today's episode of Gracefully Booked. Heavenly Father, thank you for another opportunity to bring awareness and just to spread the good news, Lord, to others who may have not have heard of you before, and for the opportunity, Lord, for the readers who are so eager to find something other than the secular fiction that exists. I'm so grateful, Lord, for each and every one of them who tune in today, for all the authors, Lord, that have reached out to me with recommendations, Lord. I just pray that you be with each and every one today, Lord, along their journey, and may their lives continue to shine brightly, Lord, and may you help them in whatever ways I'm not aware of, Lord, but you are. And I just thank you, Lord, and I give you the praise and the glory in your holy name. Amen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode. This is episode number 2, and I'm so excited to be here with you again today. I made a post on Facebook, and it has literally been on there for 1 hour, and I've had nearly 50 responses from authors who are so excited about this podcast and what it could mean for our community. The whole idea behind this is just to connect readers with authors with Christian fiction. I have always loved to help the community, and therefore, since about 2011, I was just helping the wrong community because I was writing things that I should not have been writing. And I wrote over 27 books within genres that I should not have been writing in. I had no business doing it, and I was being stubborn. I wasn't listening to God and the calling that he had on my life. And I tell you what, we serve an amazing God. He is so patient and so quick to forgive, and I'm thankful for that because I can be hard-headed. But anyway, with all of that aside, I am so thrilled with all the interest that everyone has expressed so far, and I think that we're going to have tons of content to go on for months now, and I still haven't worked out all the details about whether this is going to be a daily show, a weekly show, or what. I would love to bring as many episodes as I can, as much content, as rapidly as I can, but we'll have to see how things go. There's so many books right now that people are they're throwing them at me, and I love it, and I thank you so much, and I'm glad that you all are as excited as I am for this. So I have many titles to get through, many authors to speak to. I'm planning interviews. I'm so excited. I don't know how to do the interviews yet, but we will figure it out, because when I used to do the podcast a couple of years ago with my dear friend Elle, I can't even remember something radio. I can hear the jingle in my head, but I can't remember it right now. But anyway, I'm just so thrilled. Before we dive into today's book recommendations, you can totally hear my cat in the background, and I apologize. But I just want you to think about something. What is it about Christian fiction that appeals to you? What are you looking for? What do you hope to gain from it? For me, ever since I came back to the Lord in 2018, I have tried so hard just to do what I feel is right, what he would want me to do. I always tell him, Lord, if there's anything in my heart that displeases you, please remove it. And so I try to be like that with my everyday life, the things that I watch, the things that I listen to, and the things that I read. When I first came back, I was still trying to write the things that I knew I could no longer write, and I was certainly reading them. So I suspect that a lot of you are also looking for Christian fiction for the same reason, because we know that we can't go back to reading what we used to. But I do believe that there will be people who will listen to this podcast who may just be curious, or maybe they're seeking something or missing something and needing something. And it is my sincere hope that with the book recommendations that we put out over the next few episodes, that someone will find the right book that is going to help them, that is going to call out to them. And ultimately, I believe the goal with Christian fiction should be that we can recruit for the Lord. And a lot of people, and I don't get this, but a lot of people really frown upon it when you include a lot about Jesus and the Bible, because they say you become too preachy. And as for me, I don't know any other way to write, because, and I see this with a lot of people on any social media or that I even talk to at church. But if you just knew what we knew, if you knew the Lord the way that we do, if you experienced what we have felt, you would just want to scream it at the top of your lungs for everybody to know. And I kind of try to do that with my writing because, as I mentioned in my earlier episode, I don't know how anybody makes it through a day without the Lord. I just don't get it. But I'm hoping with this podcast that the book recommendations that go out to everybody, that you will find what you're looking for. I just wanted to put that out there and let you have something to think about. And apparently, to hear my cat meow, her name is Christine, by the way. But we're going to get to the book recommendations now. So hold tight, guys, and I will get those to you. Okay, so it should be no secret that I record these episodes over like the course of a day. So I take little breaks here and there, and I have to do editing and more research. Before I give you the book recommendations for today, I would just like to say that my post I put up asking for authors and book recs has literally been up for 12 hours, and I have had 210 responses from authors, and my mind is blown. I'm so grateful. I'm so excited. This is such a wonderful thing, and I can tell that there is a need for it within the community, and I'm just humbled, and thank you so much. And I just wanted to add that in there. I'm going to hush now and get to the book recommendations because we're going to have a lot of them, and we may make it to 44 minutes today. So get excited, guys. I am. For Such a Time as Everly by Ashley N. Wallace. Here is the blurb. First, she was kidnapped, and now she was facing death. She looked around, wondering how she had gotten into this predicament in the first place. All she'd ever wanted was a little excitement, but she never meant anything like this. What was she going to do? What do you do when it felt like the world was crashing around you? When a whole group of people in the kingdom was in danger? When the king had signed a death penalty without even realizing it? She had to save her people. She had to save her family. She had to save herself. She needed to be brave, to find her courage, to do what she had to do to save them all. A Christian young adult coming-of-age Bible story retelling. While there is no explicit content in this book, there are mentions of intimate topics. When Ashley reached out to me with a comment about this story, she told me that it was a retelling of Esther, and I absolutely adore the book of Esther. I mean, there are so many women in the Bible that you can read their story and it resonates with you, and Esther happens to be one of them that just resonates a little louder. And this story, I believe, would be a good one for anyone to read. I am going to add it to my wish list, which I have been doing with a lot of these lately. It is available on Amazon as a Kindle version at $4.99, and you can get the paperback version for $12.99. On the cover of this book, it is a silhouette of a queen. She's wearing a crown, and it also has some green in the background or some teal. I think teal. I'm going to safely say teal. But for me, that is a perfect cover because how else do you capture that moment when you're trying to do an Esther retelling? I think it's good. I think everybody should give that one a chance. Again, this is Ashley N. Wallace, and the story is called For Such a Time as Everly. This one was released on January 13th of 2024. It says the reading age is for 15 to 18 years of age. But of course, like I've said before, if adults want to read young adult, that is fine. There should be no judgment on that. And so far, it has had 13 ratings, and it looks like she is holding out at a 4.9 of 5 stars, and that's great. So again, Ashley N. Wallace, For Such a Time as Everly. And Everly is a very pretty name. Thank you so much for reaching out to me, Ashley. I'm honored to share your book with everybody, and I will be back shortly with another recommendation. This next recommendation comes from Sarah Monson, and if I'm saying your last name wrong, I'm very sorry. I apologize. I have tried reaching out to several of the authors who have suggested books, and I'm trying to learn how to pronounce names, and if I get them wrong, I apologize. I will get them right the next time. Okay, so Sarah Monson, she has quite a few books to choose from on Amazon, and the one that I went with today is The Isaac Project, a contemporary Christian novel. And the reason that I picked this one straight away was because of the cover. The cover features a bride holding a bouquet of flowers. She's wearing cowboy boots, and I love the whole setting, the whole tone of it. And like I said, I know we shouldn't judge books by their covers, but I really like this one. It is simple, but it's pretty, and it caught my interest. Here's the blurb. With commitment their only foundation and love constantly thwarted, can an arranged marriage find happiness in the 21st century? Becky Sawyer's life unravels in a single day. Not only does she catch her boyfriend, the man she hoped to marry, lip-locked with another woman, she also receives the gut-wrenching news that her grandfather, the man who raised her, is dying. His last wish? To see her happily married. Heartbroken, Becky seeks inspiration in the pages of the Holy Scriptures and finds it in the story of Isaac and Rebekah. If love couldn't keep his parents together, Luke Masterson wonders what will make a marriage last. He decides to steer clear of all women, especially crazy ones like Becky Sawyer, who employs a friend to find her husband. But when he feels the dogged promptings of the Holy Spirit to move across the country and marry a complete stranger, it seems love has little to do with it anyway. Everything about this book grabs my attention. From the cover, to the blurb, to the title, and also, just so you guys know, this book has 1,595 ratings on Amazon, and it looks like she has an average of 4.4 out of 5 stars. This book is available, as I said, on Amazon for $4.99 in Kindle version or $10.99 in the paperback format. And I, for one, if you haven't already guessed, am adding this to my wish list right now. So, bravo, Sarah. This looks like a great read. And when she reached out to me, she had been worried that some of them were maybe a little older and people wouldn't be interested. But this was published on September 1st of 2015. So get it, guys. Let's help this book to keep going. That is the whole purpose of this podcast. And I think that everybody will enjoy this. I can't wait to read it. I have to find the time to read, and this is definitely one of them that I am just going to have to make time to read. So again, bravo, Sarah. Congratulations. This looks like just a wonderful book. And just a really quick correction for Miss Sarah. Her last name is pronounced Monzon, so I apologize. And also, besides the Monzon, if you are her in-laws, it is Monzon. I love it. She's so great. She messaged me with the correction way after I'd already made this recording, and I have to tell you, just what a great personality. You have to check out this book, guys. Please, 100%. Moving on with the next recommendation, I was contacted by Noelle Jane Myers, and she let me know that she currently has 3 series out, 12 books total. Christian historical romance, all are available on Kindle Unlimited. She has the Carter Saga, which has 7 books set in the 1860s, the Home Fires trilogy, which has 3 books set in the 1940s, and she is currently working on the Brothers in Arms series that are linked to and set in the same time period as the Home Fires books, which will be a total of 4 books. But I decided to go with book 1 of the Carter Saga, which is The Tender Heart. Here's the blurb. When her mother dies giving birth to her, Megan Carter's father sends her to live with his mother back east. After her abusive grandmother has her sent to Blackwell's mental asylum for a minor scuffle with her spoiled cousin, Megan must flee the only home she has ever known. She embarks on an adventurous journey to meet her brothers and find herself. Andrew Summers once had his heart broken by a rich girl from back east, and Megan Carter embodies everything he loathes. He is in no mood for society airs and has no patience for helpless women. But is Megan everything he believes her to be? Fueled by laudanum, Adelaide's hatred for Megan grows once her granddaughter escapes her clutches. She alienates all of her family with her vendetta. Will Megan's faith and newfound family protect her from her grandmother's hatred? Okay, so on the cover of this book, we can see a sheriff's deputy star badge right off the bat. There is a very pretty woman with red hair, and she seems to be wearing a dress of that time period. And then there's like an old locomotive, and there's several fellas standing out in front of it like they're just posing for a picture. And it definitely has that vibe for that time era. I'm digging that. Yes, I said digging because apparently I'm from a different time myself. But this book has 39 ratings. She has a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and it is $13.24 for the paperback on Amazon or $3.99 for the Kindle version. And I love to read books that are set further back in time, and this one is gonna guess where it's gonna go like right now. right now. It's going on the wish list. So we will get that one. And then, as I said, this is a 7-book series, The Carter Saga by Noelle Jane Myers. She has both names on here, but on the covers it says Noelle Jane Myers. And I am rambling today for some reason. But yeah, go check these out. Look at all the covers. They are very neat, very neat. I love how the clashes of color go with the old Tommy photos. So there is another one, guys, and I will be back shortly with my next one. All right. Our next recommendation comes from Heather Wood over from the Avid Readers of Christian Fiction group, and she gave me several different names to look at, and the first one that I looked up was Jennifer Q. Hunt. She also seems to be like a very prolific writer, and the one that I have went with is Some Through the Fire. It is Sorrow and Song, Book 1. And what caught me about this one was the cover. It has a very elegant looking young lady, and it looks like she's standing in front of some remains of a war. So I'll just dive right in and tell you guys the blurb of this one. Just as it seems life is opening before Violet with unlimited possibilities for her future, her hometown of Atlanta is devastated by a citywide fire, and her idolized older brother heads off to France as an officer in the Great War. Violet's safe, tight-knit family is about to be tested beyond anything they have ever experienced, and her dreams for the future keep colliding with forces outside her control and a rapidly changing culture. While she tries to rebuild her life from loss after loss, two very different young ministers both profess her place in their own dreams for the future, what she most wants, and what it means to love. This book was published on September 2nd, 2015. It has 211 ratings on Amazon, and it looks like she's holding steady at a 4.6 out of 5 stars. You can get this book on Kindle for 99 cents and $11.95 for the paperback. This is just a beautiful, beautiful looking book. I can just tell from looking at the cover, I think that it's probably going to capture the whole essence of this entire story. And then if you look, which from my perspective where I'm looking, there are 3 books total in this series, and the next one is called Great Waters and then In the Night Season. And they look really good, guys. So be sure that you add this to your list, which is what I'm doing right now. And thank you so much for sharing that book with us, Heather. I appreciate that. And she's also listed some other authors, as I said. And then she lists herself, which I am going to get to her. Thank you, Heather. I think it's always really awesome when authors want to help other authors. That is something that is rare these days. I think that can be said for a lot of different aspects in life is, people always want to see you do good. They just don't want to see you do better than them. But Heather, that's very admirable that you are sharing other authors. And I've actually had several people do that. And that is a great quality to have. So thank you so much, Heather, for recommending Jennifer Q. Hunt. And we are going to move on to the next one. All right, up next is another recommendation from Heather Wood. This is for Sarah Hanks, and Heather says that Sarah is an award-winning author who writes contemporary and split time. So I thought I would go and see what she has available, and the first one that popped up for me is A Battle Worth Fighting, a split time Sisters in Arms novel. Now then, here is the blurb. Centuries apart, 2 strong women fight for the men they love in this inspirational split-time novel. Sahara Dawn married a man she didn't fully love, only to find over a decade later she can't breathe without him. The only problem is he seems to have given up on their marriage, having taken a job across the country and is in no apparent hurry to return to his wife. Desperate to make things right and inspired by a distant relative who fought as a female soldier in the Civil War, Sahara leaves everything familiar behind, learns a new trade, and sets off to win back Jackson's heart. But is she too late? Bernice Rosenfeld loves the life she and her husband Herman have built together on their sheep farm in rural South Carolina. But when the Civil War breaks out, everything changes. Despite her desperate pleas for Herman to stay out of the conflict, he enlists. After growing up with a grandfather embittered by war, she can't stand to see her husband succumb to the same fate. Dressing up like a man, she enlists as well, determined to find Herman and bring him home. Only she finds far more than she bargained for. Will she make it home with her marriage and her heart intact? One thing that I immediately noticed about the book cover for this particular story is the woman and her eyes. They are very intense. And then there's like a setting of, it looks like maybe a cliff somewhere. I don't know if I'm correct on that, but that's just what it looks like. And there's like stars, and it's kind of like at sunset, and then it's got like a headstone and looks like a cannon maybe from the Civil War era. And so that the cover is just really pretty and very mesmerizing to me. This book has 72 ratings with a 4.7 out of 5 stars. The Kindle version is $3.99 and you can get the paperback for $12.99. And this book was released on March 21st of 2023. So make sure you check out A Battle Worth Fighting by Sarah Hanks. This is a split-time Sisters in Arms novel. And what other way should I end our recommendations today if not to share with you a book by Heather Wood? For Heather, I have selected Until We All Find Home, which is book 1 of the Finding Home series. And this on Amazon is $4.99 for the Kindle version and $12.99 for the paperback version. There is a hardcover version as well. It has 109 ratings, and it looks like she has a 4.6 out of 5-star rating. Now, when I give you guys the ratings, don't pay any attention to those. I just say that to have more information on here. And what this tells me is that a lot of people have read her book, and that is good. For myself, when I was writing secular fiction, piggybacking on talking about your book with my own writing, I'm going to stop that now. But yes, having over 100 reviews is an awesome thing, because then that means that you're going to get into the algorithm for Amazon and they start promoting your books to others. So on top of what they're doing, I'm hoping that what we're doing here will also help people with their books getting into the hands of the correct readers who are also listeners of this podcast, I hope. So this is Heather Wood's book, as I said, Until We All Find Home, and here is the blurb. When Justin Young is reunited with his orphaned siblings during the American Civil War, desiring to give them a home and a family. But he soon discovers that sometimes love is more painful than it is healing as he faces his own inadequacies. Along their journey towards reconciliation with God and each other, the siblings and their friends learn that real love often looks like the hard work of granting grace and second chances to other hurting, imperfect people with whom they have nothing in common. In the end, they each find that when they come home to God, He gives them the courage, freedom, and grace to come home to the people they've come to love. As Irish-American orphans raised in different circumstances in Kentucky, North Carolina, and Maryland, the young siblings could not be more different from each other. But they are determined that the ties of the same blood are strong enough to bring them together, despite the secrets they each carry from their pasts. In this emotional story filled with humor and love, Yankee siblings come head-to-head with Confederate ones, Christian siblings with atheists, educated siblings with those raised on the street, and extroverted siblings with introverts. Set in the backdrop of the Civil War Chicago, with its labor strikes and the Union prison camp at Camp Douglas. That last part, I believe, is an author's note, but just this whole thing, it sounds awesome to me. Of course, it draws me in that some of these orphans are in Kentucky. Anything with Kentucky, I'm always right there for it. But just some of the things that were said in this blurb about when you come home to God, about granting grace and second chances to other hurting, imperfect people, that just tugs at something. And if that doesn't make you want to read it, I don't know what will. Also, totally side note, but I actually have a cousin named Justin Young, so that is funny. The cover for this, it reminds me of embroidery, and it's got flowers in a vase on it. It's very simple, very pretty, but it reminds me of something that I would have found hanging in my grandmother's house way, way, way back when. So I'm going to put this on the wish list right now. Go ahead and add that right there. I hope that you too have several new titles on your wish list today. And that was Until We All Find Home by Heather Wood. We didn't quite make it to 44 minutes, but thank you for joining me for today's episode of Gracefully Booked. I hope that you enjoyed all of the book recommendations. I can't thank you enough to everybody who has reached out with their recommendations. I'm so excited to be on this journey with you guys and to figure out how the podcasting world works. I am working on being able to do interviews very soon. Don't forget to add me on Facebook. You can find me under Gracefully Booked Podcast. Also, be sure to follow me on X/Twitter. You can find me on there at GBPodcast24. You can also feel free to email me at gracefully.bookedpodcast@gmail.com. And before we end this podcast session, I would like to let you all know that I do provide formatting services as well as book cover services. Book formatting starts at as low as $30. Book covers start at as low as $40. If you find yourself in need of either of these services, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to help you. I firmly believe that it's going to take the whole community to get the word out about Christian fiction. So if you don't care to share this episode with everyone you know, be sure to give it a listen, a like, just however you can interact with it to help us out and get us known. Have a great day, guys. I really appreciate you stopping in to give it a listen. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.